really gonna. I'm not gonna talk to it, but it'll just be up there. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, so take your seats. Thank you so much. We can't start until we know how many.
Well, you guys should. And I'll tell them. I'll tell them to run it up. You know, the option. Now this is there. You can take it.
For Joe to get back. Joe, can you get Lindsay in here at least? Lindsay McIntyre?
Yeah.
Or do I have to?
Because the appointment of the scrutineer. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. Just pull the chair right there. Sorry, we're just waiting for Joe Murphy to come back in and our scrutineer. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and a Happy New Year. I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Neil Rogers, President of the Board of the Thornhill Club and Chair for this evening's meeting. I'd like to introduce the other individuals sitting at the table. On my right is Kevin Greer, our Finance Director and Treasurer, Brenda Berry, Club Secretary and Governance Director, and Joe Murphy, our Chief Operating Officer. I'd also like to introduce a number of the members of our board, in no particular order: Renzo Marcuzzi, our Greens Director; Craig State Gardner, the Activities Director. Our Golf Director, Carolyn Wright, is absent, but I'd like to recognize her. Neil McDonald, Membership Director; Dan Scholes, our Food and Beverage and Social Director; Maria Gatsios, our Facilities Director; and Michelle Randall, our past President. Additionally, I'd like to introduce Lindsay McIntyre from our auditing firm of Grant Thornton, and Sarah Showell, who will be taking minutes of tonight's meeting and acting as recording secretary. This meeting is also being streamed via the internet for those members who are out of town or unable to attend. And should those members viewing online wish to ask any questions, you may send an email to Joe Murphy at jmurphy@thornhillgcc.com, and we will address it at the conclusion of the meeting. Thank you. With your consent, I would like to appoint Lindsay McIntyre from the accounting firm of Grant Thornton to act as scrutineer for the meeting. And if there are no objections, I declare her duly appointed. Seeing no objections, Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would like to advise the corporate secretary there is a quorum of members present in person and by proxy.
Thank you, Lindsay. Madam Secretary, please report on the notice of the meeting.
Mr. Chair, notice of this meeting was duly given to all members entitled to receive notice on January the 8th, 2020, and the scrutineer has advised that a quorum of members is present. At this time, there are 40 members in attendance with voting rights, 2 members and guests in attendance with no voting rights, and 70 proxies have been received.
Thank you, Brenda. I declare the meeting to be duly constituted for the transaction of business as set out in the notice of meeting. At this moment in time, I would like all of you to stand for a moment of silence to honor the memory of those members who have passed away during the past year, and their names are on the screen in front of you. Thank you very much. The auditor's report, along with a notice of meeting, information circular, form of proxy, and the financial statements were distributed by email and regular mail on January the 8th, 2020 to all holders of membership of record at that date. The auditor's report is a standard report that is based on generally accepted auditing standards. Unless there is an objection, I will forego the reading of the report. Seeing no objections, I'd like to ask Kevin Greer, our Treasurer and Chair of the Finance Committee, to provide some brief commentary on this year's financial results. Kevin?
Thank you, Neil. So what we're going to do is just review some of the highlights of the audited financial statements for the year ended September 30th, 2019. So I'm happy to report that there are no changes from the figures that we had projected at our October town hall session. We have an operating line surplus of about $30,000, and that compares to last year's surplus of $27,000. So this represents 2 consecutive years of positive operating results. For fiscal year 20, the club has budgeted a positive operating surplus of $115,000 with the objective of helping to contribute to capital reserves. From a bottom line perspective, that's after capital items, we had a deficiency of about $65,000, and that compared to a surplus the prior year of $83,000. So the key drivers of that change is that we had higher depreciation this year, which is a non-cash item, and that's driven by the depreciation on some of our new assets like the pool, the hot tub, and full use of the cabana. Also, we had lower entrance fee revenue this year of about $65,000. So we've seen a leveling off on entrance fee revenue over the last 2 years. Now that we're reaching full membership levels on the long course, we're probably not going to see the same level of revenue as we had seen when we were building that membership with lower membership levels. Also happy to report that we're in compliance with our bank covenants. We do have a modest positive cash balance at year-end, consistent with a positive balance last year. During the year, we did pay down about $210,000 of our $5.6 million loan, and the net balance as of September 30th, 2019 is about $5.2 million. Other highlights are we did establish a Centennial Fund this year. That is a fund that will build over the next few years in preparation for our Centennial festivities. And we also implemented a capital reserve funding mechanism during this fiscal year. So you may know that this is my last year on the term on the board, and I'm not sure they're going to let me have the mic after I step away from the podium. So I just wanted to say a few words. You know, one of the things about being in the finance director's role is you don't always see eye to eye with the GM. But I will tell you that what I have learned over the last 3 years is that Joe is 100% committed and extremely passionate about delivering to you, the members, quality service and product to make your experience here more enjoyable. So Joe, thank you very much for that. I also want to recognize Jason Mail. Jason's our new controller. I think he's been here about 2.5 years now. Jason, thank you. During his term, Jason has significantly improved financial reporting, forecasting, internal controls, and has really upped the level of financial analysis. So thank you very much, Jason, for your contributions. Of course, I want to thank all the members of the Finance Committee for their volunteer work, as well as my members of the board. It was a great board to work on, very competent board. We had some very thoughtful discussion, and I can say with all certainty that this board is acting in the best interests of Thornhill. Thank you.
It is now time for the appointment of the auditors. May I please have a motion to appoint Grant Thornton as auditors for the fiscal year 2020 and authorize the directors to fix their remuneration? Can you please rise? You have to state the motion, Marianne. Yes.
I motion to appoint Grant Thornton as auditors for the fiscal year 2020 and to authorize the directors to fix their remuneration.
Thank you. Will someone please second the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Adrian. May I have a show of hands? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. The motion is carried. Retiring directors. In accordance with the bylaw of the club, the following directors will retire this year: Kevin Greer, Craig State Gardner, and myself. As I am in the middle of my term as president, my continuation in this role for one more year as an extra director will be dealt with later on in the meeting. On behalf of the club, I'd like to thank Kevin and Craig for their dedication and service, and I'm going to say a few words about each of these individuals. Kevin has been a member of the Thornhill Club Since 2001, he is active in the curling section as well as golf. As he mentioned, he has served as our treasurer for the past 3 years, and prior to that served on our finance committee for 4 years. I can assure you that his leadership, dedication, and oversight of the club's finances have been exceptional. I know his day job has kept him busy of late, but he never missed a beat, always raising the bar in terms of measuring the risks and rewards and looking out for the best interests of the club and its members. Kevin, on behalf of the members and your board colleagues, thank you for your time. You have served us very well, and we have all learned from your thoughtful analysis. And we have a parting gift, as they say. Just come out over here and we'll take a picture. Okay. Look in the camera. Thank you very much, Kevin. Craig. Craig has been a member of the Thornhill Club since 1986, and he is active in curling and golf as well. Craig has an impressive and exceptional record of volunteerism to the club. In 2011, he chaired the Ontario Scottish Tournament. In 2014, he was chair of the Canadian Junior Girls Golf Tournament held here. In 2015 and 2016, he served on the Men's Golf Committee. And in 2016, he chaired the Ontario Men's Amateur Golf Championship. Again, that was held at Thornhill. Craig served as our activities director, and he was a key and vital link to our curling, bridge, tennis, and fitness aquatic sections and their members. A lot of hats and diversity of interests indeed. You see, service is part of Craig's DNA, to Thornhill, I should say. His father, Chris, was a former board member, and so I am expecting that when Andrew is of age, he too will join the family business in serving as a member on the Thornhill board. Craig, thanks so much for your commitment and leadership to Thornhill. And in doing so, you've made this place a great place to enjoy sport and friendships. Please come up and accept the thing. Rolling along. We will now proceed with the election of directors. I now call on Michelle Randall, chair of our nomination committee, to present their report. Michelle? Sure, please.
Whoa. Here's the stair. Mr. Chair, as stated in the notice of meeting, there are 3 vacant directors' positions to be filled, and we are nominating 3 candidates to fill these positions. On behalf of the nominating committee, we nominate Mary Ann Mulholland, Andrew Smurda, sorry Andrew, and Joseph Sauce to serve on the board for the next 3 years.
Thank you, Michelle. Madam Secretary, please advise if any nominations have been received in addition to those of the nominating committee.
Mr. President, there are no further nominations in addition to those of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Brenda. As there are no further nominations, may I have a motion to confirm the election of Mary Ann Mulholland, Andrew Smurda, and Joseph Sauce for a 3-year term to the Board of Directors?
Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the election of Mary Ann Mulholland, Andrew Smurda, and Joseph Sauce for a 3-year term to the Board of Directors.
Thanks, Tim. Is someone going to second the motion? Sorry.
I second the motion.
Thank you. May I have a show of hands? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried, and I declare that Marianne Mulholland, Andrew Simerda, and Joseph Sauce have been elected as directors, and I would ask each of you to rise and be recognized. And thank you for your anticipated service and cooperation. Brenda, I'd like you to come here and speak to the special resolution.
As you know, Neil Rogers is due to commence the second year of his 2-year term as president of the club at the conclusion of this annual members' meeting. Pursuant to section 3.04 of the club's bylaw number 1, his term as director is to be extended for 1 additional year. This approach, continuing the term of a director who becomes president of the club in their last year of their term, for 1 additional year to cover their final year as president, is consistent with the club's bylaw and past governance practices. Therefore, at this meeting, members will also be asked to approve a special resolution increasing the number of directors for the upcoming year only to 10, for the purposes of permitting Neil Rogers to continue as a director until the next annual members' meeting. Pursuant to the Corporations Act, in order to take effect, a special resolution must be approved by at least 2/3 of the votes cast by members voting on this matter. May I please have a motion to increase the number of directors for the upcoming year only to 10, and to allow Neil Rogers to continue as the additional director until the next annual members' meeting?
I move to increase the number of directors.
I second the motion.
Are there any questions from the floor? If so, please proceed to the microphone and state your name, followed by your comment or question. As there are no questions, I will proceed. In order for this special motion to come into effect, it must be approved by 2/3 of the votes cast in respect of the resolution. According to the club's bylaw, Article 5.06, for the purposes of all votes or polls to be taken, only senior and intermediate members shall be entitled to vote, and except as is provided for in section 5.11, each such member shall have 1 vote, whether voting in person or by proxy. Unless a ballot is demanded, the vote will be held as by a show of hands. All those in favor? Against? I declare the motion is carried.
Thank you. Yeah. At this time, we'd like to present the Joe Noble Award. The Joe Noble Award is presented each year to an aspiring junior golf member who demonstrates the honorable traditions of golf that Joe Noble epitomized. I'd like to ask Todd McGrath, our head golf professional, to come forward at this time and make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, everyone. I get to speak about a little lighter topic this evening, I guess, from the regular AGM proceedings. If I could just have a quick moment and give you a little bit of interesting information on Mr. Noble here at the club in regards to his golf commitments to Thornhill. Mr. Noble, at the age of 19, was appointed his first head professional job at the Galt Country Club, followed by head pro at Westmount, and then at Summit Golf Club, and his last position was held here as the head pro at Thornhill for 28 years, from 1947 to 75, and he was our 4th head pro here. He was a great teacher and service provider and player, and in fact qualified for the Canadian Open 28 times. He was known as Gentleman Joe and had a love of giving back to the game by teaching juniors how to play golf and love the game. Mr. Noble was honored in 1972 at a celebration of his 25th anniversary here at Thornhill as our professional. He was awarded, or the Junior Club Championship trophy was named in his honor. Our second hole in the long course is now called the Noble's Choice in his name as well, and he received an honorary life membership at Thornhill. The Joe Noble Trust Fund was established to recognize a deserving Thornhill junior golfer on the basis of merit and/or need, and to date, over 35 young members have received a financial reward from Thornhill membership. The chosen recipient receives the Joe Noble Award trophy donated by the golf shop and a bursary on behalf of the committee. This young man, 2019 recipient, joined the club in 2014 at the age of 10 and is now entering his 7th year here at the club as a junior member. Along with his brothers and his father, he loves to play golf. He's polite, mature, and respectful young man who participates club events and represents Thornhill at every interclub event that he possibly can. With an overwhelming support from the committee, our PGA staff, and the Noble Golf Committee, namely Mr. David Clark, the 2019 Joe Noble Award is presented and granted to David Spodek. Congratulations, David. Come on up.
Thank you, Todd, and congratulations, David. The President's report. My report is included within the annual report, and I have no additional comments at this time, but we'll be prepared to take any questions, if there are any, at the conclusion of Mr. Murphy's report. I'd like to call on Joe to provide his report on the club's operations this past fiscal year.
For sure I need that. Giant. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everybody. Here we are at it again. A couple of highlights. First off, you're seeing this young man by the projector. I'll stand back a bit. Many of you are probably wondering, who is this guy and we just keep hiring younger and younger all the time. Carlos, perhaps you could stand up. Carlos Verde is our new Marketing and Communications Coordinator, so please welcome Carlos. I will attempt to be brief. Some of the highlights, again, of membership sort of tops our discussion points. You see we had 75 new golfing members, about 38 of those were long course. As Neil mentioned earlier, we are slowing down, or Kevin mentioned rather, that we are kind of hitting the cap. We'll talk about that momentarily. Interestingly enough, the non-golf category is an area that we really see potential growth. We had 23 new Clubhouse Actives. For those of you who are not familiar with Clubhouse Active, it's everything but golf generally. You get to use the clubhouse, all the non-golf amenities, including fitness. So those are some of them. Curling showed a promise in growth this year with almost 30 new seasonal members. Now, I think a lot of that is due in part to a number of clubs who have closed curling, and certainly Thornhill's program has been sought after by many, particularly from the West End and Weston. Tennis has not experienced the growth we'd like to see, although we're going to talk about that in a moment, but we see that as an area of growth as well. Moving on to the survey, the satisfaction survey, it was similar to last year. We were down slightly in overall satisfaction, and we believe most of that's attributed to the golf course. I know a number of you, I have the pleasure of reading about 1,200 comments. And so a number of you expressed concerns about the conditioning, the number of rounds, and so on. And we hear you. As you know, we said a few months back that we are rechanneling some of our funds to the tune of about $150,000 to Greg's golf course budget. And so that should make an impact, but also the care of course, which again has been mentioned a number of times by members, and that got again a significantly low rating by members. They were not convinced that their fellow members are doing the job they need to do out there. Food and beverage satisfaction it was impressive. We're starting to see some marked improvement in that area, which is nice to see, but we're not done yet. There's still lots to do in that area. Moving on, so some of the things we want to talk about. So what's happening as we move forward into 20? Of course, as I mentioned, the priority is given to the golf course. I can assure you that all efforts will be made, not just on management, on behalf of the board, the Greens Committee, that we will improve our satisfaction, we will improve the members' care, of course. That's critical. We really need to pull together here. As we can see, the demand to play is up. It's almost 10% up in rounds this year, which is about 2,300. So, and that's a shortened season. If you recall, we didn't even have a May. That's really June through October. The quotas currently for long course are 400, and right now we sit at around 390. The quota, at least the stated quota for Category B, which is the limited play, is at 2.25. We will be revisiting that. I know the membership committee and the board will look seriously at that, maybe hold it at 200, which is where it's at right about now. So that'll comfortably be around 600. I don't think we need to add a lot more members to this golf course, at least at the current time and the current demand for play. Valley course activity is up. It's approaching close to 150 members, and that includes a number of our Learn to Golf programs, which, by the way, is almost sold out again for 2020. A very popular offering. And just while we're on the golf course, a quick update. The range work. Some of you see what's happening down on the range and on the golf course, and it looks like a mess. I know it does. The work on the golf course itself hasn't really got going yet, but the range work, they're doing lots out there, and that's sort of their mainstay and where they really work from. That's their main area that they come in and out of off Yonge Street. But what we anticipate the work, it's still reasonably on schedule. By the end of March, they should be finished the sewer project, but the range work itself will not be ready until the end of May. So that's the downside. The upside is that we get significant improvements to the teeing area, to the actual teeing surface, as well as our target greens and the entire range itself. So we'll look forward to that for those who want to get out and practice right at peak season in early June. Moving along, we talked about the Clubhouse Active memberships. That's an area we are going to we see very good opportunity to grow the membership there. And Daryl in the room, Daryl Jenks, stand up, Daryl, so everybody knows. I think you all know Daryl. He's our sports and activities manager. He and his team have done a great job in growing that area. As a matter of fact, we just had a Lunch and Learn series. We're going to roll a lot of those out over the course of 2020, and we had our first one which was oversubscribed on Saturday, so great to see. Again, there's no stated quota. Right now we're about 160, but we'd like to see that grow to 300. We believe that's very possible. Personal training wellness services, again, showing significant increase, and as well to the bottom line this year. We have about 450 users, regular, many of you casual users, but we'll call it regular and casual users of the fitness area, mostly golf members. That's risen significantly over the past 3 years. And of course, there's been a modest increase in group fitness classes, and yoga and Pilates and spin seem to be the most popular. Moving into tennis, we have the Har-Tru courts, if many of you know. We've had them, this will be, I think it's third, if not fourth season. Again, focus continued on building this section. I know Brett McIntyre is looking to chair that with a very capable committee. We have a new program called Clay to Clubhouse membership, which is a progressive style membership, getting people in, perhaps at an entry level, or people who certainly are familiar with tennis, and get them comfortable with the club, and hopefully that they'll grow into a full year-round Clubhouse Active membership. Doug Eades continues to be our head tennis professional, and he and Darryl will focus a lot on growing that part of the club. And bridge. Now, Ralph, I want you to notice, I actually put a bridge picture up there. You know, and I just want to ask, is that a good hand? I wasn't sure. We have 120 bridge members. You know, I know, you know, we've kibitzed a lot about that, but there has been a significant growth to bridge and growing all the time. In fact, we have 3 members, is it, Sarah, that have expressed interest in just joining the club year-round, just for the opportunity to play in the Thornhill Bridge section. So, well done. Keep it up. Continue on, the curling we mentioned earlier, that's shown some significant growth, particularly this past year. The junior and bantam curling programs are becoming more attractive. And of course, we're seeing ice rentals, even around our holiday and Christmas time. People see some real value in booking out the ice and having their parties around that. The pool, I know it's been a little disrupted from time to time with the pool. We've seen parts of it open, parts of it closed, and now the cabana. And now, just so you know, 2020 will be a full year at the pool. And I know many of you are excited about that. And I want to see you out there. And there's been many aquatics programs that's going to be underway. Great place to hang out. Yes, we do have a liquor license out there. So we expect to see many of you out there, or your families, or your grandchildren, whatever. It really is a fun, active place. And so stay tuned for that programming. And the focus as we continue in our food and beverage, we again chatted about that. Great to see better food and both food and service consistency. We continue with our organically grown natural food products, and Greg's Garden is getting bigger and bigger out there by the maintenance area. We continue to promote outside events. As you know, that's a big source of revenue for us, and particularly if you're looking at a profitable side of our food and beverage operation. Our events have been a lot of fun. The Taste of Summer, the Fall Wine, Food and Sacks, and then we had Sparkles and Spirits during the holidays. That was attended by about 100 members. It was a great party. So again, a nice little injection of some social fun, and a lot of members who got behind that. I talked earlier about Lunch and Learns. We're going to roll that out. That came through our survey. About 75% who answered the survey said they'd like to see some Lunch and Learns. So we're going to roll it out. We had our first one in fitness. We're going to have ones on golf. We're going to have ones on food. I think Lauren Rubenstein has agreed to come in and speak to the members about what he's doing with our Centennial book. So lots ahead. And lastly, in closing, building on our future. As we've stated earlier, as we enter a new decade and plan for the club's centennial, the board's objectives and management's objectives have been focused and proactive on the club's longer-term strategy so that we can continue to deliver on the objective of our mission, vision, and values. Planning for a strong and sustainable future is central to some of our boards and management committees' work. And just so you know, that's the clubhouse in 1924, if you're wondering what that picture is. We were able to find that. And Ursula did not burn in the fire, so there it is. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thanks. And quick Q&A.
Thank you, Joe. At this time, if there are any questions or comments members would like to bring before the annual meeting at this time, please proceed to the microphone, state your name and your comment or your question. Open mic. Told you we should have made up a question, Joe. Yeah, check your email in case anyone's chimed in. I don't think this has ever happened. Okay. Going once, twice, 3 times? Okay. With that, may I please have a motion from the floor to terminate this meeting?
I move to terminate the meeting.
Thank you, Linda. Seconder?
I second the motion.
Second by Michelle Randall. Thank you very much, Michelle. May I have a show of hands, all those in favor to terminate the meeting? Any opposed? Sorry, I got ahead of myself. That's carried. Thank you. I declare the 2019 annual general meeting terminated. Thank you for making the effort to come out tonight, and enjoy your winter. We will see you all later. Thank you so much. Wow. Lightning fast.
That is the one you wanted. That's what. Yeah. Nice job putting black inside the glass too. So please don't bring it with you. Put it back in the board.
How are you? I'm good. I'm well, thanks. I just came out. Me too.